The rivalry between the Phillies and the Mets continues on and on. Year after year, the faces change, the positions in the standings change, and what's at stake varies. With 6 weeks remaining in the 2015 season, the first-place Mets are preparing for a run to the postseason and a division championship. Their rivals welcome them for an always exciting 4-game series starting tonight. Music night here at Citizens Bank Park as the crowd is settling in for a little rivalry matchup between the Phils and the New York Mets. Behind us, there's a little Alan Jackson playing, and out in Ashburn Alley, a variety of country music bands entertaining the crowd. This is game one of a 4-game series. You take a look at the National League East standings. Well, the Mets are on top by 5 games over the disappointing Washington Nationals. The Phillies, well, they're tied for 4th right now, and now their sights are set on the Atlanta Braves, who are sailing downward, and the Phils, in just a few days with a successful series, may catch them. Hi, everybody. I'm Tom McCarthy, joined by Matt Stairs. All right, well, the task is very difficult tonight for the Phils. Everybody knows that by looking on paper. The reigning Rookie of the Year, who quite possibly could be the National League Cy Young Award winner, Jacob deGrom, is on the mound for the Mets.
And what a year he's having. He's a guy, he's fun to watch pitch because he's a bulldog out in the mound. He just pounds the strike zone with every single pitch. Jacob deGrom, one thing you'll see in these highlights, not very many pitches are right down the middle. He has very late movement, very good changeup. I find his changeup doesn't get as much respect as his fastball. It's a very good swing and miss pitch, but everything he starts in the middle of the plate. His fastball will tail off the corners. When he gets 2 strikes, he loves to elevate, especially the power hitters. Right there is a backup slider. But to be able to pinpoint that fastball outer third and allow it to run out of the strike zone is the reason why you get a lot of swing and misses.
And it's an amazing story. A guy that was a shortstop to start his baseball career in college, turned into a closer, and now is one of the best starting pitchers in all of baseball. Looking at the rankings, 12 wins. You and I were talking before we went on that if they had scored more runs for him, he could have 18 or 19 wins at this point. Right now, tied for 6th, but second to Greinke with a 1.98 ERA. Back in '85, John Tudor and Dwight Gooden each finished with sub-2 ERAs. That's the last time it happened in the National League. All right, on the other side of the story, he may not be as overpowering, but he is tough. He's tough internally, and he's been tough externally, and that's Adam Morgan.
Well, he's a very tough pitcher. He's a very smart pitcher. He's a stubborn pitcher as well. He stays away from the middle of the plate as well. Here, the last start versus the Blue Jays, had a very good changeup work in that game. Right there, Batista hits a missile for a double play. And when he needs to, he can hit the corners and get weak ground balls. This is a great play right here. Heads up tag and Benavier going to first base. To me, I thought this game, 1, he played very good defense behind him. 2, he made some quality pitches. But it was a curveball that we haven't seen a whole lot in this year. Right here to Donaldson threw a very good curveball. Another good curveball right here to Encarnacion. So it's something where a lot of guys are thinking, okay, he's a fastball changeup, little slider guy. But when he starts mixing that curveball, he gets a lot of weird swings and a lot of guys backward gaze.
Yeah, Pete Buchanan talked about that today. He said he surprised everybody in the dugout when he threw that curveball to Donaldson. He said he would like to be surprised even more. Well, David Wright will be back in the lineup for the first time since early this season when he got injured against the Phils. Lineups and first pitch when we return. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Xfinity, the official entertainment provider of the Philadelphia Phillies. By Toyota, where will Toyota take you? Visit buyatoyota.com to find out. Toyota, let's go places. By Budweiser, make it a plan to make it home. By Citizens Bank, one deposit checking. Keeping things simple is helping you bank better. By Coca-Cola, the official soft drink of the Phils. And by Independence Blue Cross. Live fearless. Learn more at IBX.com.
We got any red?
4-game series. Phils are about ready to take the field. They're just waiting for the umpires to come out so the managers can exchange the lineup card. Terry Collins will walk out for the Mets. Jorge Valandia will walk out for the Philadelphia Phillies. We're wondering, it's 7:05. Where's everybody at? Well, we're waiting for the umpires to come out. Can't get the game started, Matt, without umpires. It's Tom Hallion's crew. He's the home plate umpire today. Mets come in 5 games up in the National League East. Jeff Francoeur is playing the role of the Philly fanatic, wondering, let's go.
As you should.
Yeah. I thought the pitchers were delayed coming in, but that wasn't the case. I'm not sure what the fanatic's doing. I think he's trying to spur them on right now. Well, the Phillies do have a chance to play a role in the race for the National League East title. 4 games against the Mets. They're 1-8 against the New York Mets. So the hope is that this will change their luck. Mets are hitting .283 against the Phils this year. Overall, they're hitting just .240, which is 15th in the National League. But the starters ERA and the bullpen ERA, that is the difference. Plus the fact they have doubled the home runs of the Phillies. So here come the Phils. Adam Morgan heading out to the mound, getting set to make the home start here at Citizens Bank Park. There are a lot of Mets fans here tonight, so you're going to hear the chants. We've already heard them over and over and over again. Let's take a look at their lineup. It's brought to you by Xfinity, the official entertainment provider of the Philadelphia Phillies. Lagares, Murphy, and Cespedes. David Wright is right back in there in the cleanup spot. It's his first game since he injured himself against the Phillies on the 14th of April. Wilmer Flores is at second base batting 5th. Travis d'Arnaud 6th. It's Kadir Tejada and Jacob deGrom, and they'll face Phillies left-hander, the 25-year-old Adam Morgan, 4-4 with an ERA of 3.92. Not going to strike out a lot of guys. He puts the ball in play, and it's part of the reason why, Matt, he has not thrown 90 pitches in a game since July 3rd. In fact, that's the only time he's thrown 90 pitches in a game.
Well, Adam Morgan is pitching to a lot of contact right now. He's pounding the strike zone. You see the Budweiser scouting report, 4-pitch pitcher, average velocity 88.7. The league is hitting a $186 versus the slider. And the last note on Adam Morgan is he's throwing 14.5 pitches per inning.
That's a pretty good number.
That's a good number.
If you're less than 15, that means you're doing your job, and that's why you're able to stay in ball games for a long period of time. Pete Mackanin said today that he's been impressed with his bulldog mentality. That's a good thing to have when you're a major league pitcher, particularly when you're not an overpowering major league pitcher. All right, Matt, it's time now for our Nissan keys to the game.
Key number 1 for me today is get deGrom's fastball in the strike zone. He throws a lot of fastballs out of the strike zone. 31.5% of the time out of the strike zone is being chased. And 2, Morgan, keep improving on location of fastball. We'll talk about that later on in the game, about the pitch selection and where he's throwing his fastball and his averages where he's throwing it to.
Well, Juan Lagares will lead things off. Lagares hitting .263 with 4 home runs and 35 runs batted in. It's been a very good month of August for him. First pitch of the game is in there for a strike, and it's 0-1. It'll be Lagares, Daniel Murphy, and Yoenis Cespedes. Popped him up. Behind second base, Freddie Galvis is there. He'll make the call. One quick out here in the top of the first. Galvis had a good series against the Marlins defensively, particularly the last couple of days of that series. Here's Daniel Murphy making his 6th start of the season at first base, at a necessity because Lucas Duda is on the disabled list with a bad back. It's not an oddity, though, for Murphy to play first base. There was a point in his career where they had no idea where they were going to play him because he wasn't that great defensively. And back in 2009, he played 109 games at first base. As he whacks the 1-0 pitch foul, it's 1-1. Murphy's numbers against the Phillies, they've been very good. .371 with 1 home run. Not a bad idea. 2 balls, 1 strike. Breaking ball. Yep, 2-2. You're going to see primarily sliders as his breaking pitch, but he does have the curve.
That's almost in between a slider and a curve. Not as big break, but it's harder.
Popped him up, got him off balance. Blanco runs in. During the 2015 season, Turkey Hill, the official ice cream of the Phillies, will contribute $100 for each Phillies victory and 5 cents for each carton of Phillies Grand Slam ice cream, sold to support the Phillies youth baseball and softball programs.
Well, Morgan is picking up right where he left off versus the Blue Jays, getting weak fly balls. He had 7 fly ball outs against the Blue Jays last game. And you've seen today a lot of hitters out in front and a lot of infield pop outs.
That's saying a lot against that Blue Jays team to get 7 fly ball outs. Fastball in there to Cespedes. What a pickup he's been. Already 27 hits and 88 at bats for the Mets since they picked him up from the Detroit Tigers. He's a free agent at the end of this year. Will the Mets be able to afford him? Well, most people don't think they will, particularly if he keeps hitting like this. 1 ball, 1 strike. Outside, 2-1. I think the oddity is that since he was signed by the A's after defecting from Cuba, he's been with Boston, Detroit, and now the Mets. It wasn't too long ago that he signed with the A's. There's a liner out towards center field. Herrera will make the catch. Side is retired. Well, an 11-pitch first inning for Adam Morgan. Not too shabby. We'll go to the bottom of the first. It's the Mets nothing and the Phillies coming up. Philadelphia, Mets and the Phils scoreless as we go to the bottom of the first. Let's take a look at the Phils lineup, brought to you by Xfinity, the official entertainment provider of the Phils. Hernandez, Galvis, and Herrera, followed by Ryan Howard, Andres Blanco, and Cody Ashe. And the bottom third of Dominic Brown, Cameron Rupp, and Adam Morgan. Jacob deGrom is ready to go, and the first pitch of the night, he shows bunt. Hernandez does, and takes it first strike, and it's 0-1. Jacob deGrom, 12-6 on the year, an earned run average of 1.98. It's an amazing feat considering that after his first 7 starts, his earned run average was close to 3.5. And a lot of people wondered, well, is it a sophomore jinx as we look at the Budweiser scouting report?
Very good fastball, 4-pitch pitcher.
Up the first base line, deGrom has it and just barely beats Cesar to the bag. Juan Samuel said it's in between as to whether Hernandez beat that or not.
Nonchalant, taking his time, but he got him easily.
Yeah.
And one thing about Jacob deGrom is fastball. He throws a very good fastball, and like I said, the outer third, and it runs. Very rarely you see a four-seam fastball from him. And that's one of the things that he has a very good command of his fastball, of all of his pitches, really.
They're actually saying that ball was foul, that it may have hit the foot of Cesar Hernandez. So Tom Hallion's going over to explain it to Terry Collins. It did come off the bat odd, but I just thought it was because it ran inside on his hands the way he hit it. It's tough to tell. They can't review it.
That hit nothing, unless it hit his shin.
If it did, it grazed it.
Well, then why run?
1 ball, 2 strikes. 2-2. Well, if you're going to get to deGrom, the first inning is when you get to him. He's allowed 12 earned runs in the first inning of games. No other innings close to that. That was a foul ball. 2-2. Matt, I have to admit, I didn't see whether Tom Hallion went and asked one of the other umpires for assistance on that, unless he called it right away. I didn't see him put his hands up. But from our vantage point, it didn't hit anything except for the ground. And let's see if the Phils can pay it off. Good luck at McDonald's Phillies home run jackpot contestant is Tim Murtaugh of Spring City, Pennsylvania. Phillies hit a home run in today's ball game, and Tim will win $100. And there's
ball 4.
All right. Well, I have no idea what's going on. So that pitch must not have counted. So now it's 3-2. Ball 4. Or 5. Didn't we have a conversation today about the number of balls and strikes in a game? Didn't somebody ask us that today? Jokingly. It had to be a dead ball. Time must have been called or something.
I have no idea because the scoreboard has 8 pitches thrown.
Yeah. So Hernandez is aboard. Here's Freddie Galvis. Galvis takes it high. Darno pulled an Ichiro on that one. Tom Hallion right there put his hands up. So he was saying there it was a foul ball. I did not see that because I was looking up the first base line. But beyond that, that should have been strike 2 because the bunt attempt was strike 1. And there was a ball. And a line drive towards center field. That'll drop in for a base hit. Hernandez will stop at second base, so the Phillies have first and second with nobody out. And here's Odubel Herrera, who did not play, who did not start yesterday's game, but did come into play. DeGrom this year against the Phillies is making his 3rd start. He's 1-0 with a 1.32 ERA against the Phils here in 2015. David Wright is thinking that Herrera possibly could lay down a bunt. He jabs at it. It's a strike. It's 0-1.
You know, you mentioned earlier, this is the inning. If you're going to get to DeGrom, you need to get to him because he gets stronger. A lot of power pitchers take 1 or 2 innings to get loose. You know, they sat for a little while walking in. So it'd be nice to see him get 1 or 2 runs come across the board right now.
Swing and a miss, 0-2. Well, Odubel's got to bear down here. Odubel's hit in 22 of his last 24 games. He ranks first among rookies in doubles with 25, second in batting average at 294. He really has had a very good year. He was 5 for 14 in the series against the Marlins. Up and away, 1-2.
Notice how he tries to elevate that fastball with 2 strikes. His bread and butter pitch. Fastball away, fastball down the zone, 2 strikes. He likes to elevate.
Down and away, 2-2. Inning began when Cesar Hernandez had a very odd at bat, where it looked like he grounded out. Home plate umpire called it foul, and then it looked like he was walked on 5 pitches, or 5 balls, I should say. 2-2 to Herrera, and he loops that one out towards short. And it's caught by Tejada, 1 away. All right, so here's the pitch sequence to Cesar Hernandez. This is the first time we're seeing it, but we're assuming. See, there's strike 1, fastball. Ball 1, so it's 1-1. That's the foul ball, which was a fair ball, but called foul by Tom Hallion, so it's 1-2. Now 2-2. Ball's fouled, so it remains 2-2. Ball 3. Ball 4. Ball 5.
Okay, seriously. And not one person notice that?
Five balls out of the strike zone. 1 ball, no strikes. Ryan Howard, 30 RBIs since the 5th of July. Check swing. And it's 1 ball, 1 strike. He is 2 for 12 against DeGrom. That's remarkable that nobody picked up on it. Nobody. I mean, we did, but we're not wearing black pullovers tonight.
Well, or a white jersey.
Well, yeah, or a gray jersey. The gray jersey doesn't want to see it. Runners go. Pitches it high in the air to deep left field. Going back is Cespedes. It is gone. Opposite field home run for Ryan Howard, and the Phillies jump out to a 3-0 lead. Home runs, 70 RBIs. And Tim Murtaugh of Spring City, Pennsylvania, you're $100 richer.
Well, it's such a pretty swing. When he gets that foot down early, lets that ball get deep, lets it travel. In the last game he played in Miami, he had 3 doubles. 2 of them were to left field. Look at that, head down, full extension. He's like, yeah, what new versus the Mets.
Well, a nice way to start the first inning. Andres Blanco takes strike 2. It's 0-2.
You know, with Ryan, back earlier in the year, remember the game in Atlanta, he hit a double to left field, a couple balls to left field, all of a sudden he found a swing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I think with the Miami game, hitting 2 balls to left field for doubles, hitting a ball to right center for a double, just allowing him to get the ball back deep in the zone.
Oh, it is such a big boost, as everybody knows, over the years when he's able to hit home runs.
Yeah.
and particularly 3-run home runs. The Phillies relied on the 3-run home run for so long. That's now 33 RBIs for Howard since the 5th of July. He's also hitting close to 400 in his last 79 at-bats with runners in scoring position. Now, a lot of that has been against right-handers, but still. 1 ball, no strikes to Kobayashi, who pops it up foul over the third base dugout. Swing and a miss, 1-2. That 3-run home run moves DeGrom's earned run average up to 2.15. He had come into this ball game with a 1.98 ERA. He and Zach Greinke both under 2 with their earned run average. As Ashe pulls it into right field for a base hit. He's on his way to second. The throw by Kadire is not in time.
Well, I really like Kobayashi's approach right now in his hitting. We saw the home run he hit to Miami. A couple balls he's been hitting to right field. He's really concentrating on getting his head down. But look at that top hand again. I know I talk about the top hand, but as a left-handed hitter, when you get lazy with that top hand, you hit a lot of weak fly balls. You see him, the point of contact going through, and he rolls over. That's why he's driving the ball to right field for more power and hitting the ball a lot harder.
That was a great shot, though, of what you just talked about, how he went down to get that.
That's how you use your legs on an off-speed pitch. That was a slider down. Now, if he would have hit tippy-toed or if he would have hit straight legs, he would have hooked that to first base.
So 15 first-inning runs now, including the 3 tonight in the first inning. For Jacob deGrom, as the Phils have jumped out to this early lead. They have a runner in scoring position with 2 men down for Dominic Brown. First pitch outside, 1 ball, no strikes.
That's a good take, because that is a pitch usually that deGrom gets people swinging at. The one that just starts outer third and goes off the plate.
Dominic 0 for his last 7. Well, I guess they've seen him enough now that, I mean, you know the game plan, or you know what he tries to do, and I'm sure they have a very good understanding of what he can do. But sometimes you don't execute it. I mean, he's obviously been successful. Outside, 2-0.
Get that pitch count up. 28 already.
Another good take.
And a changeup.
Yeah, and a changeup this time. Same spot as the fastball with the first pitch. It's 3-0. You going to green light him here, you think?
You know what? I'm not going to. It's a 3-0 count.
Let his pitch count keep rising.
Yeah, I would.
Well, he was late on a high fastball. It's 3-1.
Unless you give him the green light to get the swing and miss, get loose sign. You know, just you can tell he's fighting the strike zone right now, and if you swing it at a borderline strike and make it and pop it up or weak ground ball, you figure 3-0, the same 3-1 pitch is coming.
Can he do it again? deGrom with 31 pitches in this first inning. The 3-2 pitch. Breaking ball and a strike 3 called. Dominic is down looking for the second strikeout for deGrom. That was a breaking ball, a curveball. But the Phils do score 3 runs, a walk, a single, and Ryan Howard the opposite way. A home run off this fastball from Jacob deGrom. The Phils strike first, will go to the second. It's 3-0 in favor of the Phils. The last time he played in a major league game was back on April 14th, and it was a game against the Phils where he was off and running to second base with Lucas Duda at the plate. Ruiz's throw was in the dirt, and Wright got kind of tied up at second base, but something else happened before that where he aggravated a hamstring injury. Now, that was only part of the story because the hamstring injury led to a bad back and then led to a diagnosis of a degenerative disc in his back. So he's back tonight after what they thought would be just a quick 15 days on the disabled list. Hitting .333 on the year. Takes a strike. It's 0-1. The Mets are not a very good offensive team, although they had a good series against the Rockies out in Colorado. So they feel like this is a boost to their offense. As a team, they're hitting .240. That ball is well hit, and it's gone. His first at bat back from the DL into the second deck. It's a 3-1 ball game. Second home run of the year for David Wright. He was launching him during batting practice, and he was getting cheers from the Mets fans that were here.
Well, it's so important that middle of that lineup, a 4-hole hitter. The fastball inner half is supposed to be away. And I don't care if he missed 2 years or 3 years or 3 months, he still has a pretty swing.
He said today that the only difference now, as Wilmer Flores takes a strike, it's 0-1. The only difference now is that he comes to the ballpark and has to get more treatment before the ball game. And he has a number of things that he has to do just to get his back ready for games. Flores fouls it back. It's 0-2.
Welcome to getting older.
Yeah. He did, when he was out in Los Angeles rehabbing, he did stop and talk to Don Mattingly, the manager of the Dodgers, whose career was diminished because of a bad back. And Mattingly convinced him that he can play with the injury that he has. He just has to take care of himself a little bit more. One ball, 2 strikes to Flores. Inside, 2-2. Flores hitting .262, 12 home runs, 49 runs batted in. That one's pulled toward third foul, and it remains 2-2. Well, the good thing about Adam Morgan is that stuff like that, stuff that just happened, like that home run, it really doesn't faze him. At least it hasn't in his start so far this year.
Well, he doesn't show that it phases him.
Well, that's it.
Inside is probably burning, but
he's no doubt aggravated himself. But I don't think he'll change his game plan. I mean, that's 92 miles an hour. With one away, Travis d'Arnaud's coming up. Let's check in with Greg Murphy. Murph.
All right, thanks a lot, guys. Well, in talking about Adam Morgan, Pete Mackanin was talking about him today. And really, there are two things that have plagued Adam Morgan. He's pitched very well so far since coming up and being here in the big leagues. But home runs has been one of them. That was the 10th of the year. And but also, it's been the ability to go deep into games. As you take a look at his numbers, he is the subject of our Lowe's Never Stop Improving player profile. I had an interesting conversation with Pete Mackanin today about Adam Morgan and about getting deeper into those games. He said, you know, for a while now, they've wanted to pull him out in the 6th inning, 5th inning, 6th inning, and allow him to get out of there feeling good about himself. They didn't want him to see that third time around in the lineup if they could avoid it. But he said against Toronto in his last game, where he went 7 innings and allowed just the 2 runs, he saw him throw a curveball late in that game to Encarnacion that really froze Encarnacion, and he hadn't seen that all game long. It was something different, and it showed Mackanin that as the game goes on, he's starting to understand you have to do things a little bit different later in the games to get deeper into games, and he's hoping he'll build on that today.
Well, we talked about his pitch count, how it's so low from game to game that as long as he maintains it, that trust will continue to build because his pitch count is not going to be a question mark.
Yeah, Tom, I think trust is the right word.
Yeah.
You know, they just don't know yet whether or not that third time around he's going to be able to get through a difficult lineup. But with each passing day and with each start and with at-bats like against Edwin Encarnacion, when he's able to do stuff like that, it opens the coach's eyes and gives them a little bit more trust and hopes that he's figuring it out deep in the games and he's going to be able to go deeper and deeper.
Yeah, I remember after the Blue Jays game, Pete said, we were in his office, Pete said, how about that curveball to Donaldson? You know, so those are all things that are good. They're all part of the development of a pitcher. Speaking of a breaking ball, that one's hit out toward left center, but Odubel's there. And there are 2 outs. I'm a little in between his breaking pitches tonight, Matt. His slider's looking a little slurvy. It's not a curve, but it's looking a little slurvy tonight.
It is, and he's getting underneath it a little bit. He's not getting that sharp bite down and getting the swing over top of it. You'll notice when he throws a big curveball, it's almost a 12-6. I would like to see him. He only throws it about 3.5% of the time. So he might throw it maybe 4, maybe 5 times a game.
Here's Kadire, who has spent some time on the disabled list this year. He takes outside. Kadire hitting .249 with 8 home runs, 31 runs batted in. On the inside corner with a changeup, and it's 1-1. Over toward third. That's a fair ball down the left field line, and it's touched by a fan. So it will be a ground rule double.
It's a ground rule double, and the ball girl thought she did something wrong, so she threw the ball back in the field.
Yeah, it was touched first by the fan before the ball girl picked it up. So.
Just inside the ball in the third base bag. Would have been interesting to see. Cody was coming over, but get the Mets fan coming in and doing an interference. I liked the reaction of the ball girl, though. She picked it up and then she threw it back down.
Hot potato. Well, here's Ruben Tejada. Tejada hitting .263 with 2 homers and 22 runs batted in. inside 1-0. Tejada's also had a good month of August, hitting .303. And now it's 2-0.
Right now, Adam Morgan's pulling everything a little too much. Fastball, he's pulling. David Wright home run was supposed to be away. Pulled a fastball inside. His changeup usually has a fade of like a right-handed slider. He's pulling it as well. Kadire, that's what he hit.
Well, he's got 2 3-ball counts, 3-ball no strike counts in this inning. The d'Arnaud one and now to Tejada. DeGrom on deck. Now DeGrom for a pitcher is a good hitter. You got Kadire at second base. Off the hands, he got the green light up the first base line. Here comes Ryan Howard. Side is retired. Well, that was helpful. 1 run scores on the long home run by David Wright, but it was a solo shot. His first game back since the 14th of April, and he goes right above the Geico side in left field. It's 3-1 Phils. We go to the bottom of the second. Tickets can be purchased at Phillies.com at any time. Phillies will play the Mets Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday before they welcome in the San Diego Padres. Tonight is country music night here at Citizens Bank Park. You see the couple of shots of the fans that were just underneath the score line there. The line score there had the snapback hat, camouflage snapback hat that was given out to the first 2,000 who ordered tickets at Phillies.com/country for tonight's ball game. Here's Cameron Rupp to lead it off. And Rupp takes up high. 1 ball, no strikes. Cameron with 4 home runs in his last 11 games, a .325 batting average. That one's hit well out to center field. Lagar's going back. He may just be a spectator. That's a long home run. Oh my! Onto the patio in the Mets bullpen. And then it took a hop off the fence above the bullpen. 4-1 Phillies on top.
Well, you know you have tremendous power when you can hit a ball straight away center and your center fielder takes 1 or 2 steps and stops. I mean, head down. Look where this thing lands.
Oh.
Look with a garbage can.
That's a shot. 5 home runs in his last 12 games. The ball is thrown back down into the Phillies bullpen where DeFreitas has it. Well, we've seen some long home runs. I mean, David Wright's home run was long. That's a long one to center field.
That's farther to center than it is David Wright's.
Yeah. Swing and a miss. Morgan is down in the count, 1-2. Well, they give up one, they get it back.
Look, you hit a home run to left field, second deck, it looks pretty because it's the second deck shot. But when you go to center field, second bullpen.
I mean, it's basically
right there.
Yeah, right there. Chopper over the mound. Tejada charges. And Morgan is thrown out, hustling. One away. We have not gotten the distance of either home run, but once we do, we'll let you know what it is.
That's how loud that was.
It's now 6 home runs for Cameron Rupp. He's hit in 7 consecutive games. So with one away, Cesar Hernandez is the batter. He walked on 5 pitches his first time up. 1 ball and no strikes to Hernandez. Pulls that one foul. Now that's the pitch you were talking about, Matt. Now that's a changeup, but it's still DeGrom lives on the outside part of the plate.
Yep.
And for a lot of hitters, it's tough to not swing at that pitch.
Well, I mean, you can swing at it, but you just got to go with it.
Right, instead of trying to pull it if you're a left-handed batter.
Right. That's why you have to. See, that's back-to-back pitches. One was a changeup away, a pitch inside. You need to choose which one you're going to hit because you're not going to be able to hit a 95 inside or 95 away. You need to pick one of them.
Check swing, and Alfonso Marquez says he went around. 3rd strikeout for DeGrom. And there are 2 outs. Tomorrow night at 5, Michael Barkann is joined by special guest, former Philly and World Series champion Jamie Moyer. Don't miss Philly Sports Talk, presented by Comcast Business, right here on Comcast Sports Net. Is the long in the tooth and long hair Jamie Moyer, is he here in town, you know?
No idea. Didn't he get his haircut?
Yeah, he did, but it was still kind of long. I mean, that's coming from me and you.
Yeah,
Freddie Galvis takes a strike. First start allowing 4 earned runs since May 11th against the Cubs. Since the All-Star break, DeGrom had an ERA of 1.55 with a 3-0 record. Phillies have touched him for 4, and they've done so with 2 home runs. Freddie lays off. It's 2-2. Hit sharply back through the middle. A base hit for Galvis, his 2nd hit of the night. So he extended his 5-game hitting streak, or 4-game hitting streak, to 5 in his first at bat. Now he has a multi-hit game. And here's Odubel Herrera.
Well, the key to hitting a changeup is staying through the baseball. I mean, staying compact, short, and straight down. Look at everything is going straight down towards the baseball. And now he releases after the point of contact. Very nice job of hitting on a changeup. Same thing you're going to do with a fastball. You know, if he leaves a little early, it's a weak ground ball, 4-3 or a 3U, or is a tapper back to the pitcher. That's what we mean by staying through the baseball. The barrel stays as long as possible through the zone and eventually gets out of there. That's what it means by staying through the baseball. Herrera's swing just there a second ago is a swing that you say it's in and out of the zone. He took a swing and then his barrel came out of the zone. That's why foul balls go to the left.
In essence, the pitch that Herrera fouled off was a good one for him to hit if he had stayed with it.
Exactly. If he kept his barrel through the zone the whole way through, it would have been a very good pitch to drive to left center.
No balls, 2 strikes to Herrera. And he pulls it toward the right side. A base hit off the glove of Flores. Galvis on his way to third. The throw by Kadire is there in plenty of time. And that'll go down as a 9-5. And in the dugout, it'll go down as a base running mistake by Freddie Galvis to make the last out of an inning over at third base. But there is a bright spot in the inning. It's Cameron Rupp's long home run to center field. It's given the Phils a 4-1 lead as we move to the top of the third. Log on to Phillies.com. Go to the fan section for all the information. Please submit your answer on the subject line. All right, Matt, the question is, who is the Mets' all-time leader for home runs by a second baseman? The answer will be revealed a little later on. Well, it's turned out to be a pretty sky here at Citizens Bank Park. Jacob deGrom leads it off. He'll take a pitch outside. It's 1-0. deGrom hitting 174 on the year. No homers this season. 2 RBIs. 1 ball, 1 strike. Broke his bat. Fly ball shallow center. Odubel makes the catch for the first out. And here's Juan Lagares. Well, this ballpark is pretty. You go to other ballparks and you realize how nice this one is if you forget. I mean, there's some great shots, some great sight lines. Lagares popped out to short his first time up. That's in there, 0-1. A little bit of cut on that fastball from Adam Morgan.
It's a good location. Fastball up in the zone. Close. You don't want to take it. You don't want to rely on the umpire to say ball. You kind of try to fight it off as a hitter. Bounce it.
That one is hooked down the left field line. It's got the distance. If it's fair, it's fair. Solo home run for Lagares. That's his 5th of the year. It's a 4-2 ball game. 4 home runs between the two teams tonight. So he got ahead 0-2 and wasn't able to finish him off.
Well, he wants the slider 0-2. Bounce it. It's not a bad pitch, but too much plate 0-2. Maybe one of these nights where you pitch away, play away.
It could be getting to that point. Murphy chops it to the right side. Cesar throws him out for the second out. It's now time for you to tweet your strongest fan photo. Use the hashtag #PhillyPhotoDataStrongFan, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast. Brought to you by T-Mobile. So Lagares has hit a solo home run. And David Wright has hit a solo home run. The difference tonight is that the Phillies also have 2 home runs, but one's a 3-run shot. Cespedes line to center his first time up. That may be the spot for Morgan to keep that ball to Cespedes. Maybe creep it in even more.
I haven't seen a curveball today, have we?
No, in fact, as I mentioned before, to me the slider is fooling me, because sometimes it looks like a curve. His fastball, though, look at that, 92.
Yeah, but you know, it's nice to see 92 come out of the pitcher's arm, but I like when he sits around 90, 89, 90. He gets more movement and he gets on top of it and he hits that outside corner. A lot of times when he's hit 91, 92, he's missing a little bit too much of the plate, just like that last pitch to Cespedes.
Well, here's the 1-2. That's the way he wanted to throw it to Lagares. He gets it to that spot for Cespedes and picks up his second strikeout, and the side is retired. A home run on the solo shot by Lagares. It's a 4-2 Phillies lead. To your local Del Val Honda dealer or visit DelValHondaDealers.com. By McDonald's. Double the love it at McDonald's with a double cheeseburger and small fry for just $2.50. McDonald's, I'm loving it. And by Chevrolet. Visit your local dealer at ChevyDealer.com. Game 1 of a 4-game series. A few miles from Center City. Down at Citizens Bank Park. Galapagos gang is here, Matt. We haven't seen them in a little while. Out at Ashburn Alley. Surprising the Mets fans who are lingering out there. Ryan Howard hit a 3-run home run his first time up. It was his 43rd home run against the New York Mets. He is the active leader in home runs against the Mets. Number 2 is Chase Utley. Number 3 is Jimmy Rollins.
Well, here it is. Fastball, outer third. Ryan getting his foot down early and driving it deep to left center for 20 and 70.
Grounds that one up the first base line. It's a foul ball. You know, you never want to make the first or third out at third base. That's the old baseball adage. Freddie Galvis did that to end the bottom of the second. You don't want to harp on it too many times because he knows he made a mistake. If he doesn't, somebody told him already. But Howard's already hit a 3-run home run. You're in scoring position. That's why you want to stop at second base. And he lines one into center field, a base hit, so he's 2 for 2.
You know, I shouldn't say no problem, but I guess you can turn your head on the first out of third base because you're being aggressive, but being aggressive and not smart base running to make the third out of third base is where I have a hard time, especially when you're middle of the order.
Well, and Kadire has 11 outfield assists now. Now, most of them have come in left field. You give him credit, though. He was right on it, but he was shallow.
Well, he was shallow, and plus the ball was, you know, a rocket to right field.
Andres Blanco is up. Wright is in on the grass at third, and Blanco a foul tip, and it's 0-1. Andres struck out his first time up. He was 7 for 17 with a basket full of doubles against the Miami Marlins.
You notice after Ryan hit that home run in the first inning, his next at bat, he sees slider, slider, slider. Finally gets a fastball and smokes it to center field.
Darnell's been moving around behind home plate. Former Philly prospect.
Oh, that's a great toss.
Juan Samuel jumping out of the way of that one. The man can still move when he needs to. Whoop. It's a pretty good toss right there. Two balls and 2 strikes to Andres Blanco. Opposite way, that'll go foul. That one's pulled under the glove of Murphy down the right field line. Howard stops at second. He doesn't realize it. Oh, he better hurry up. And now Blanco's going to get caught. He goes back to first. Well, it wasn't pretty. But they got the runner over at third. The unfortunate thing is they didn't get another runner into scoring position. I don't know if Howard was deeped or not.
No, I believe that Howard honestly thought that Murphy caught the ball at second base, at first base, and he's going straight in, thinking that it must have been a play at first base. That was different.
That was different.
Good job by Blanco looking to see where Ryan was.
They have charged an error to Murphy over at first base. That's his 11th of the season. And Dan Worthen with his second trip out to the mound to talk to Jacob deGrom. So So now Cody Ashley, who doubled his first time up. Off-speed pitch, and it's 0-1. He's already with 7 hits against DeGrom.
Back-to-back changeups.
Howard's over at third base. Blanco's at first. Nobody out here in the bottom of the third. That one is spun as shortstop, caught by Tejada. One out. Dominic Brown is coming up. Well, Murph, there's no doubt, aside from Bartolo Colon, this Mets pitching staff is made up of youth and even more youth.
You know what, Tom? They have done a real nice job in building a starting pitching staff. Now, a couple of guys are banged up at this point, but building a nice pitching staff for the future. Now, Jacob deGrom, last year's Rookie of the Year, certainly has his hands full tonight with his Phillies lineup, but you take a look at these guys and their numbers and their ages, and you think this New York Mets team is going to be pretty good for the next couple of years. We're going to see Syndergaard tomorrow night here at Citizens Bank Park, and the Phillies will not see Matt Harvey in this series. Of course, Matz and Wheeler are both on the DL right now, 15 and 60-day DL, but they should both be back by next year. And you take a look at this, and you look at their youth and their numbers, and you think to yourself, man, this Mets team is going to be pretty good for a couple of years down the road. So the Phils will have their hands full with them for sure.
Yeah, and you don't want to put the cart before the horse if you're any baseball team, but they've talked about if they make it to the postseason, Syndergaard could come out of the bullpen because he's got such electric stuff.
And they have that depth as well, as you pointed out. Yeah,
they're crowded with their starting rotation.
It's a good problem to have. Certainly they've started to rest some of these guys. The 6-man rotation, oh boy.
The Oakland is right there for another 3-run home run. Dominic Brown just over the fence down the right field line. 7-2 Phillies on top.
Well, this pitching staff is nothing, Tom.
5 home runs for Brown. It ends an 0-for-8 stretch for him. 2 3-run home runs for the Phillies here tonight.
Well, when he hit this ball, I knew it was deep enough to get for a double, but Dominic Brown knew he got enough of it. Slider inside, just far enough for that happy Phillies fans.
Great catch. And that is why you bring it up to the game.
And that's why you love 3-run homers.
Phillies have not feasted on the 3-run home run this year. Cameron Rupp hit a solo home run his first time up. That's 3 home runs tonight for the Phils. And the Mets have bullpen action. They've got Gil Martin that's up and throwing in the pen. Now they have an issue with Bartolo Colon and his wrist. He got hit by a ball in the wrist the other day. There's some question as to whether he'll start his game on Wednesday. If he doesn't start, they thought it would be either Gil Martin or Torres that would get the nod. But Gil Martin is warming up right now. Swing and a miss to Rupp. It's 2-2. Two balls, 2 strikes to Rupp.
Just seems like the other day with Dominic Brown, we were looking at his numbers, and 0 and 9 RBIs.
Yeah. Well, you said they come in bunches.
Yeah.
And Cameron Rupp walks. Well, the Mets, or the Phillies have gotten the Mets. Jacob deGrom on a not so sharp night. We've talked about how this was a true test for this Phillies ball club, which has played better since the All-Star break. By no means is this game over, or does this dictate success the rest of the series, but we've watched this team since the break. They're a different team.
What it does is it gives the team more confidence.
Sure. Morgan squares with one out, bunts it in the air. Yeah, there are 2 outs. And Cesar Hernandez is coming up. Cesar is 0 for 1 with a walk and a run scored. Goya Latino Family Celebration Night will be this Friday when the Phillies take on the San Diego Padres. Take part in a special live auction on the first base gate. Proceeds benefiting Concilio in their effort to provide social services to the Philadelphia community. That wild pitch will enable Rupp to go to second. Tickets for all upcoming Phillies games, as always, can be purchased at Phillies.com.
Good.
Is that what you're most impressed with tonight? The takes?
Absolutely. Close pitches just off the plate or up in the zone, laying off him, making him hit the bigger part of the plate. Plus, our guys, 3 home runs have not missed.
That one is blooped down the left field line. It's slicing into foul territory. Well, 7 runs allowed tonight for deGrom, or a career high for him. Of the 7 allowed, 6 are earned. The only one that's not is the Andres Blanco run, because he reached on the error by Murphy. They're weighing down his pitch count. Too bad he can't cash in one of the balls from the first at bat into this at bat. You know, carry it over.
Not very often you see Jacob deGrom throw a 3-1 changeup to your leadoff hitter. You can tell he just doesn't feel right.
Sorry, at a Major League scoreboard, the Pirates lead the Marlins 2-0. Andrew McCutchen has a 2-run double. Rupp leads off second base. 3 balls, 2 strikes to Hernandez. And there's ball 4. Galvis is coming up.
That's a 3-2 changeup, and that's going to put him in the showers.
And you're thinking this fastball, he just doesn't have a feel for it tonight.
Well, look, there's a difference when you're throwing 95 and 96 and feeling it's popping out of your hand. Mm-hmm. His fastball was not popping out of his hand.
And that happens.
It does.
You just got to take advantage of it.
And they took advantage of it tonight.
Well, Gil Martin's coming on. deGrom is walking off. He came in with an earned run average of 1.98. He'll leave with an ERA over 2 as the Phils have put 7 runs on the board. Cody Ashley will be signing autographs in support of Every August Until a Cure ALS awareness campaign. Purchase the Together We Fight t-shirt specially designed by Cody and his wife Angie and meet and get an autograph from Cody. Net proceeds benefit the ALS Association and the Greater Philadelphia chapter. He has done great work. In fact, he and Cameron Rupp led the charge with the Phillies organization last week for the Ice Bucket Challenge. Sean Gilmartin in his 39th ball game for the Mets. Comes in with a 2.54 ERA. First pitch is in the dirt. 1 ball, no strikes. Phillies have 2 on with 2 men down. Little different pitcher, Gilmartin compared to DeGrom. Obviously, one's righty, one's lefty, but style-wise, a little different pitcher.
Must be talking about the little velocity difference.
A little bit.
It's the last note on the Jacob DeGrom. That's only the 4th time this year he's allowed 3 walks or more in a game.
You think about it, he tied his career high in home runs allowed. It's a new career high in runs scored allowed, 7. One ball, 2 strikes to Galvis. Iggy the Iguana is roaming Ashburn Alley along with the rest of the Galapagos gang. Oh, it's pulled towards shortstop. Tejada has it and flips to Flores covering. And that'll do it for the Phils here in the 3rd. But another productive inning. They get 3 runs on a home run by Dominic Brown. Down the right field line, into the first row, into the waiting glove of that young man. It's 7-2 Phillies as we move to the 4th inning. Ensure all your shipping messages get noticed. Perfect for any priority message, and WB Mason delivers the same day when you order by 11:30 a.m. Local service, personalized. Who but WB Mason? Country music night here at Citizens Bank Park. A couple of the players arrived with their cowboy boots on. Cameron Rupp wore his cowboy boots into the ballpark today in honor of Country Music Night. Cody Ashe wore his cowboy boots in honor of Country Music Night here at Citizens Bank Park. There was one other guy that wore his cowboy boots today. It wasn't you.
Larry Anderson?
Larry Anderson wore his cowboy boots. Here's David Wright. He homered his first time up. And he takes ball one. That's the camouflage snapback hat.
Where?
Given out to the first 2,000 who ordered tickets through Phillies.com/country. Wright's home run was his first AB in 133 days. Pulls that one into left field, a base hit. He broke the home run back there. So a leadoff single here in the fourth. And Wilmer Flores is coming up. Tomorrow morning, start your day with early bird training camp coverage with special guest Dave Spadaro on Breakfast on Broad. Weekday mornings from 6 until 8 over on the Comcast Network. Michael Kendrick signed a 4-year contract extension today with the Eagles. I'm sure they'll talk about that. Said I can have peace of mind and just go out there and play the game that I love. It's a very special day. As Flores takes ball one. Flores struck out his first time up. Cameron Rupp going out to chat with Adam Morgan.
Be interesting to see what kind of running game David Wright does from now on in the remainder of the season. He's always a sneaky base stealer.
You never know if those slides would aggravate the back problem. Terry Collins is going to have to do a little managing of personnel too, still, because he's not going to be able to play every day. Although Wright said today that he feels good, feels strong. Three balls, one strike. Travis d'Arnaud on deck. That ball's pulled deep down the left field line. It's going to be gone. Two-run home run. It's now a 7-4 ball game. 3 home runs for the Mets. That's the first one, not a solo shot. Wilmer Flores has now picked up 13 home runs on the year. That ball exploded off Flores' bat.
Yeah, it did. Up in the zone with his arms extended. Top end.
Flores is now hitting 6 consecutive games. So Bob McClure goes out to chat with his left-hander. As Travis d'Arnaud will come up. d'Arnaud flied out to center his first time up. Well, it's time to settle in. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Budweiser. Budweiser still brewed the hard way. This Bud's for you.
That's the velocity I like better. 89 and down.
It makes sense what you're saying, because Pete did say today that even after the last start by Morgan, that ball's hit high in the air to left center field. That's not coming back. Wow. Onto Ashburn Alley. 7-5 ball game. Eight home runs for Darno. Back-to-back now with Flores.
Glove down, pitch up, and result back-to-back.
Yeah, that's a long one. So now Kadyr's up. He doubled his first time up. Well, what was a 7-2 lead is now a 7-5 lead. Phillies offense can't close up shop just yet. They may think about getting somebody up. There's Hector Neris, who has his glove. Yeah, they're going to get Hector up. Their goal is to change the style that's out there right now.
Do you get the feeling that both teams, both sides of hitters, feel very comfortable right now?
Yeah, I would think so.
So what would you think?
Go inside.
Thank you.
That one's lined to the alley in left center field. O'Dougal's not going to get it. It's going to be a one hop off the wall. He plays it well. And Kadir will have his second double of the night. 4 straight hits for the Mets. 3 straight extra base hits. And still nobody out here in the top of the 4th inning.
Yeah, and I'm going to use Flores as an example. It's a pitch, as we see Kadir. Fastball inside, came back out over the plate. Point of contact, you can see it's split in the middle of the plate. I'm going to go back to where talking about Flores' home run. And hitters that have fear in them should not be able to pull a pitch away down the left field line, which means they know that they have the whole plate. And this is the pitch to Flores. It's out over the plate, outer third, and he hooks it. So there's no fear of coming in and being knocked back or having purpose pitches inside.
Chopper to third. Blanco has it. He looks the runner back to second. One out.
And I'm sorry, Tom. And I'm by no means is this disrespecting pitchers or not, but when you have the inside and the outside plate covered, it becomes batting practice. And I don't mean because of the pitchers who you're hitting. It's the same approach you have in batting practice. A coach will say, okay, comes a fastball away, you're diving, hitting the ball away. Fastball in, you turn on a pitch. Now it's just a matter of, when there's no fear in hitters, it's a fun time to hit. And I'm not saying drill people. I'm not saying, knock people down. Well, yeah, I am saying knock people down.
Yeah, just pitch inside tight.
Exactly. And we have seen Batista with Toronto. He does not like to be pitched inside. You just need to get back to that point where, okay, a hitter says, okay, I have to pick the inside corner, the outside corners for the pitcher.
1 ball, no strikes to Gil Martin. Swing and a miss, 1-1. Phillies got a solid outing yesterday from their starting pitcher. Another one on Saturday. And then also a very good start on Friday. They've scored enough runs in games. They just haven't always gotten very good starting pitching. Tonight they've watched Adam Morgan give up 5 runs so far in 3 1/3. Two outs. And here comes Lagares and here comes Pete Buchanan. So that's going to be it for Adam Morgan. He's going to bring in the right-hander Hector Neris to face Juan Lagares. So this is the third time through the order for Adam Morgan. This is what Murph was talking about before. Pete was getting closer to feeling more confident getting 3 times through with Adam Morgan. Well, tonight the ball is flying, so he decides to give the Mets a different look. It's the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers Local 98 Phillies Fathead, free to all fans. They'll receive a 13 by 26-inch removable wall graphic featuring Phillies logos and third baseman Maikel Franco. Order your tickets now by going to Phillies.com. Adam Morgan's night is done. 3 2/3, 7 hits. He's still responsible for Kadire at second base, but Hector Neris is coming on. There's the line so far on Adam. So Neris is on to face the right-hander Juan Lagares. Kadire with 2 doubles. His second one has put him at second base here in the 4th. Mentioned before, Lagares has been hot here in the month of August. 378 hitter. Popped out his first time up after getting the count 0-2 his last time up. He got a slider down and in that he hooked down the left field line. Neris' first pitch is on the outside corner. It's 0-1. 92 on that fastball. Excellent split.
Cameron Rupp said that Neris' split finger is the hardest pitch he's ever had to catch. Because sometimes it'll dart left, sometimes it goes right, straight down. It almost comes in like a knuckleball action.
There it is again. It has to be because of the way he grips it, that it's sort of that offset. It's a split finger, but it's offset the laces, kind of like a cutter. You know, where your fingers are with a cutter, but it's deep into your hand.
Right, and I don't think he throws it to an area where he wants it to go to. He starts it. Cameron said he likes to throw it middle of the plate. He'll put more pressure on the inside finger or the outside finger, and it'll just go left and right. But those last 2 split fingers, or change-ups they call them, have slider action.
So that means he's putting the pressure on the middle finger.
Yes.
7 combined home runs, the first time since '09 between these two teams. No balls, 2 strikes. Threw it to him again.
I was part of that game.
Did you hit a home run?
No, I was watching, but I was part of it.
You could have hit a home run.
And home run. You can see the split finger. You can see right there, he's on the lace with his right finger. See the rotation spinning like a slider action.
Yeah, it's kind of an odd grip. Sometimes they put it right along the laces, both fingers. Not a bad spot with that 0-2 pitch. A fastball that was just a bit inside. It's 1-2.
That was a great shot of the split finger fastball on the lace.
Got him. Rupp will pick it up. Side is retired. 2-3 on the putout. The Mets do score 3 runs on back-to-back home runs. One a 2-run shot, the other a solo shot. Middle of the 4th, 7-5 Phillies. Brought to you by Yellowwood brand pressure treated pod. It began with Ryan Howard in the first inning going opposite way.
David Wright going second deck straight away left field. Cameron Rupp hitting a bomb to center field. Lagares hitting a bomb to left field. Dominic Brown hitting a home run to right. Flores hitting a line drive to left field. Bernard hitting a blast to left center. On the concourse.
Yeah, Darno's was probably the longest of all. I mean, Rupp's was long, obviously, the straightaway center field, but Darno's went onto Ashburn Owl. So, with all that, all those loud noises, it's 7-5 Phillies as we start the bottom of the 4th. Odubel lead it off. Odubel today is 1 for 2. He lined out his first time softly to short, and then single to right. Bills with 8 hits, the Mets with 7. Gil Martin on in relief of Jacob deGrom. One ball and 2 strikes. It'll be Herrera, Howard, and Blanco for the Phils. Odubel, we mentioned, has 25 doubles. The record for a Phillies rookie is 39. As a team, the Phillies are tops in the National League in doubles with 218. they've seen all their offensive numbers, and we've talked about this, get better and better as the years gone on. They came to the game 5th in the league in hitting overall, 254. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Strike 3 called. Phillies baseball is brought to you by W.B. Mason. You can't go wrong when you buy right. And by Toyota. Where will Toyota take you? Visit buyatoyota.com to find out. Toyota, let's go places. Well, that was some good pitching by Gil Martin. That looked like a good fastball on the outside part of the plate. Here's Howard, who's 2 for 2. He's homered. That was a 3-run shot. He's singled, and he has scored twice. He may never see a fastball again in this game.
Well, we talk about a fastball. There it was. Out at third. Number 20 on the year and 70th RBIs.
He may never see a fastball again. 1 ball and 2 strikes. 3 straight breaking pitches from Gil Martin. Two outs. Back-to-back strikeouts for Gil Martin. And Andres Blanco's coming up. Blanco reached on an error his last time up. So he's batting right-handed. This is his strong side. Overall hitting .303 with 5 home runs and 15 runs batted in for the Phils. Blanco's hitting .385 as a right-handed batter.
Blanco is more of a controlled hitter when he's hitting right-handed. You know, left-handed, he sees a pitch and he just wails. Seems like he's a little more selective right-handed.
Off the end of the bat out towards center field. Lagares comes running in. He won't get it. It'll drop for a base hit. 7-game hitting streak for Andres Blanco. And a 2-out hit. Phillies fans, did you know the StubHub app is personalized just for you? Get the StubHub app today. Start at StubHub and let the fun find you. StubHub is the official fan-to-fan ticket marketplace of the Phils. Cody is 1 for 2. He doubled his first time up. That double for him, his 20th of the season. asked Cody today about the possibility of playing third base again. And he said, I'll do anything to play. He said, my goal is to do whatever Pete wants. And if it means that, as that one's lifted into center field, if it means that I don't have to be there, and he pointed to the bench, I'll play third. So he's ready to go if they need him to. No runs, 1 hit, 1 man left for the Phillies. We've completed 4 in this slugfest. We'll go to the 5th. Phillies lead it by 2. Answer. All right, Matt, here we go. Question is, who is the Mets all-time leader for home runs by a second baseman?
Wally Backman. No, I'm just kidding. Jeff Kent is my answer.
Actually, that's a very good guess. I would have thought that also. Or the guy that's up right now, although he's really a doubles machine. It's not Daniel Murphy.
Second baseman.
Yeah. Edgardo Alfonso. 72. He was a very good hitter. Log back on to Phillies.com to find out if you're the winner of a Phillies prize pack. Daniel Murphy will lead it off. He's 0 for 2. He's popped out to third, grounded out to second. First pitch from Hector Neris is outside, 1-0. That one is pulled out toward right field. Dominic Brown on the run. It's over his head and off the base of the wall. And Murphy gets to second standing. The ball gets away from everybody, but Neris tracks it down. 28th double of the year for Daniel Murphy. A lot of home runs here tonight at Citizens Bank Park, Murph.
Pretty good segue for our Coors Light cold hard fact, I would say, Tom. How about this? On August 21st in Colorado, Yoenis Cespedes becomes the first player in Major League history to record at least 5 hits in a game with 3 home runs, including a grand slam. He went 5 for 6. He had that grand slam, 7 RBIs, scored 5 runs, and much like tonight, it was a fireworks show, guy.
It sure was. The ball just jumping off his bat. So he finished a triple away from the cycle, but he also finished a 3-run home run away from the home run cycle. The only time in baseball history that a player has finished a triple away from the cycle and a 3-run home run from the home run cycle was that game. Swing and a miss, 0-2.
I still think the most impressive one I've ever seen or heard was Mark Whitten when he hit for the cycle. Solo shot, 2-run shot,
right.
3-run shot, and a grand slam.
Well, there have been 13 players who have been a 3-run home run away from the home run cycle in a game in Major League Baseball history, and he's one of them. There have been 13,648 players who have been a triple away from the cycle in baseball history. He's one of them in the same game. No balls, 2 strikes now to Cespedes with right on deck. And he hit him. That'll put 2 runners on with nobody out. Terry Collins comes out just to pick up the shin guard. Ray Ramirez, the athletic trainer for the Mets, comes out as well.
Two-seamer inside, just runs in a little too far. It's elbow?
I think it was the elbow, yeah. He certainly didn't want to do that.
No.
Because David Wright is 2 for 2 with a home run and a single.
Back in the second inning. Blast to left field, just over the Geico sign.
First at bat in 133 days.
Welcome back.
Victor Neris has got all kinds of autographs on his glove. I'm not sure whose autographs they are. That's where the home run went, right over the Geico sign, the white portion of the Geico sign. One ball, 1 strike to Wright.
We want to stay out of that area.
Yes, we do. Checks his swing. They appeal. No swings. Is the first base umpire, Dan Bellino. And it's now 2 balls and 2 strikes to Wright. Well, if you thought it was a pitcher's duel kind of night, it's not. It's a bullpen kind of night. Both starters are out. Ball got the mask of Cameron Rupp. Tom Hallion asked him if he was okay.
They're hitting a forehead. Side off the glove and side of the face. That's what gets frustrating for a pitcher is you make a nice quality pitch and the hitter battles. And then you sit back and, man, how did he make contact on that? We haven't seen any high fastballs elevated. Like face mask high to Cameron right now. To see if David Wright would swing at that.
Inside, 3-2. Wilmer Flores on deck. He's also homered tonight. On the outside corner, a call, strike 3. Well, that's how you quiet the chant. He threw him a split, confident enough to do it with 2 strikes. Second strikeout for Neris.
You can see the tumble action of that baseball. See the grip right there, perfect location. For a 3-ball, 2-strike split finger fastball.
And now Wilmer Flores. Man, look at the signatures on the side of his glove. Can't see it there, but when he put his mouth up to glove up over his mouth, he has like 4 signatures on his glove.
Maybe he's just practicing his autographs.
Maybe he's going to get the glove authenticated. He wanted to have a little extra special boost on it. 94 on that pitch. 1 ball, no strikes. See?
Yep.
Uh-oh. Oh, man. Mets are going to have the lead. 3-run home run. Second home run of the night for Flores. 8-7 New York.
One problem with throwing a lot of split finger fastballs is when you hang a split finger fastball, it's a very good pitch to hit. Actually, I'm wrong. That's a 2-seam fastball.
It's fastball, yeah.
I stand corrected. He hit it and he knew it. He just stood there.
I have a pretty good feeling that this is not going to be the final score. D'Arnaud takes a strike. The record for home runs, he just said it was a split, yeah. Record for home runs here at the ballpark combined is 9. Galvis behind Blanco, 1-hop throw in time. Boy, there's a lot of moving parts on that particular play. Freddie Galvis really needed to concentrate to keep an eye on that ball coming by Andres Blanco.
Yeah, knowing that you have to stay there in case Blanco can't get to it, stays there. He comes up, strong throw, kind of off balance a little bit. Good pick by Ryan at first base.
Well, the Mets have taken DeGrom off the hook here tonight. And Michael Kadire, who has 2 doubles this evening. He's 2 for 2. Finds that one to deep left field. That's gone. 9 home runs in this ball game. 9-7. The Mets on top. Boy, it's a shooting gallery. 6 home runs for New York. 3 for the Phils. That ties the record for most home runs combined in a ball game here in Philadelphia. There have been 4 other times that the two teams that have played against each other have hit 9 home runs in a game. The Mets and the Phils have done it one other time. That was back in 2005. Last time it was done was 2010 when the Phillies played the Minnesota Twins, but that was an 11-inning game. Side is retired, but the Mets have taken the lead. A 3-run home run of their own and another solo shot by Kadire to boot. We played 4.5. 9-7. Mets on top of the Phillies. Suddenly an icon in Philadelphia. Plus, meet the prospects, Nick Williams and Jake Thompson, that came over in the Hamels deal, and see how they are doing. Big things in Reading. Watch a brand new edition of Phillies Clubhouse presented by Mercedes-Benz tonight at 11 right here on Comcast Sportsnet. Michael Kadire has 3 extra base hits tonight, 2 doubles and a solo home run. Wilmer Flores has 2 home runs tonight. One a 2-run shot, the other a 3-run shot. There have been 9 combined home runs between the two teams. Well, let's see what the Phillies can do against Gil Martin here. He's had an inning and a third scoreless. In relief of Jacob deGrom, who went 2 2/3, allowed 8 hits and 7 runs, 6 earned. Two balls, 1 strike. Justin DeFreitas warming up in the bullpen. Foul ball got a piece of Darno. Well, Dominic hit a 3-run home run his last time up.
I think we pretty much show everybody hitting home runs tonight. Smart hitting, 3-run home run, first row.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Now 3-2. You got a feeling the 9-7 is not the last of the scoring tonight,
No,
right?
I gotta believe there'll be a couple more home runs hit tonight.
Yeah. Line drive, base hit it to center field for Dom Brown. So Dom is 2 for 3. And Cameron Rupp is coming up. Darren Ruff has come out of the on-deck circle, so it looks like he'll pinch hit for Hector Neris.
Oh, by the way, back in the second inning, big man hitting an absolute blast well over 450 feet in straightaway center.
Lines that one off the glove of David Wright, and everybody will be safe. I don't know if he peaked or not. I think you need 5, but we'll see how Mike McConey scores that. As Darren Ruff will pinch it.
He just flat out missed it. But you don't see that very often from David Wright. Took it off the thumb part.
That's painful when you take it off the thumb part. So Cameron Rupp, whose home run, by the way, officially or unofficially went 460 feet. That's a long one. They have scored that in error. So Darren Ruff will pitch hit. Darren overall 242 hitter. 5 home runs. Phillies led at 3-0, 4-1, 7-2, and now they trail at 9-7.
The way this game is going tonight, it's almost turned into be like an American League game. You could have had the pitcher or someone bunt the situation second and third, but is 9 runs going to be enough tonight?
Pretty good slow curveball right there. That's the 3rd strikeout for Gil Martin. And now Cesar Hernandez. Back toward the middle, that might be 2. Side is retired. A double play started by Flores. No runs. 1 hit, 1 Mets error. On to the 6th inning, 9-7 New York. Blue Cross Philly of the Week is continuing to contribute for the Phils offense, whether he's in the lineup or coming off the bench. A season ago, Francoeur wasn't sure if his career would continue much longer. In 2015, he has delivered plenty of production at the plate. And August has been no different as Jeff continues to produce, batting well above 300 for the month. Frenchie brings offense. Frenchie brings smiles and energy to the Phillies dugout on a daily basis. And it's brought to you by Independence Blue Cross. Live fearless. Well, as John Denver said, thank God I'm a country boy. And the Fanatic using Matt Stairs' cowboy hat. Got one of the ushers involved in tonight's shtick. I don't know, Matt, he gave you the hat. He should have given you the vest and everything else, too.
No, but I'll take one of those hats.
Yeah, those are good hats. Here's Gil Martin, who stays in. So I guess he's not going to pitch on Wednesday. But he's done a nice job so far, so he'll bat against Justin DeFreitas, his 53rd game. Two balls and no strikes. It's been a rough go of it for Justin. He had a scoreless outing his last time out. Overall, though, it's been a rough go. He's trying to find his fastball and trying to find his slider, too. He's facing a Mets team that, counting tonight's homers, 6 tonight, 48 home runs in the last 27 games for New York. Two and two.
With the way the New York Mets have been hitting tonight, the series against Colorado, you would never think that they were 30th in baseball in hitting.
It is remarkable that their average is that low. Base hit for Gil Martin. Follow the Phillies wherever you are with MLB.com At Bat, the #1 app for live baseball. At Bat is up to the moment at any moment with in-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcasts, StatCast, and more. Get MLB.com At Bat for your smartphone or tablet. Lagares tonight is 1 for 3, homered back in the 3rd. The third base line, that'll go foul. I know Justin's allowed this leadoff single, but boy, they need a quiet inning right now just to get themselves.
You got to stop the bleeding.
Well, they have to stop the bleeding. They've allowed 7 runs in the last 2 innings after taking a 7-2 lead, just to stabilize some things and get the offense rolling again. Out to center field. Odubel's there. And he makes the catch for the first out. Gil Martin goes back to first.
I like the reaction of the crowd every time a ball is hitting in the air.
Every time. I guess you can't blame them.
Oh. Not a bit.
Ball's hit well. We're going to have a new record for home runs here at Citizens Bank Park. That's 10 combined home runs on the 2-run shot by Daniel Murphy, the 7th of the game for the New York Mets. It's 11-7 New York. What a remarkably powerful turn of events in this ballpark here tonight. That's what you call back-legged right there.
Yeah, that's what you call enjoying the home run. That is 500.
Now Cespedes, who was hit by pitches last time up. Well, the 7 home runs the Mets have hit, also a franchise record. It's the kind of night where there's all kinds of records that are popping. The most home runs combined by 2 teams in the National League is 11. Freddie Galvis backs up on that. It didn't hurt him because Cespedes isn't running. 6-3 on the putout, 2 away. 4 different times 2 teams have combined for 11 home runs in a game. The last time they did it was back in 1979. It was the Phillies and the Cubs. They combined to hit 11 in a 10-inning ball game. Only one other time has 2 National League teams hit 11 in a game in a 9-inning game. Well, right now we've got 10 tonight. 7 for the Mets, 3 for the Phils. Oh, and 1. 1-1.
Well, you knew today, if you watched batting practice, the baseballs were absolutely flying.
I would agree.
Everywhere.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't know how, what dictates it. It's been hot other days. It was hot today. I'm not sure what dictates it. The wind is now.
Yeah, but it doesn't seem like it's real muggy.
Well, that's true too. So the ball's free to fly.
Yeah.
There's a foul ball, and it's 2-2. These haven't been cheapies, though.
No, no. I mean, Dominic Brown's was the first row.
Right.
Flores' home run was
Which one?
first row. The first one.
First one, yep.
The other ones, they probably would have been out of the Grand Canyon.
Yeah. 2-2 pitch. Tom Hallion must have thought that was low.
I want to see the chainsaw.
We've only seen it twice tonight. David Wright walks. Here's Wilmer Flores. He's got 2 tonight.
That was the line drive down the left field line. Then the 5th inning. This one was a no-doubter.
Probably happy they didn't trade him to the Brewers. He thought he had a pitch to hit right there. 0-1. Over to third, Blanco, and it takes a bad hop over his glove down the left field line. Wright's on his way to third. Flores to second. They'll hold David Wright at third base. That'll be a double for Flores, who is now 3 for 4. And Travis d'Arnaud is coming up.
Well, when things are going well, you get these kind of hops right there. Big hop over Blanco's glove.
Runs, 23 hits combined. d'Arnaud has hit the longest of the home runs tonight. 3 feet longer than Cameron Rupp. 463. That was back in the 4th. I think your comfort level thing is still standing strong here.
It is.
Because the way these guys are swinging, I mean.
Yeah, there's no worries.
Good pitch. Here's d'Arnaud's home run.
463 feet. Now, it is 3 feet farther than Cameron.
Yeah.
But Cameron's is more impressive because it's opposite field. It's right center. It's not pull side.
I'm with you on it. I'll buy into it.
Thank you.
Both were really impressive.
Very good.
Not much you can do if you're a manager in a case like this. Really not much you can do at all. Here's the 2-2 pitch coming to d'Arnaud. Opposite way, that'll drop for a base hit. That's going to score 2 more. Dominic Brown will cut it off. d'Arnaud is on his way to second. The throw not in time. 13-7 New York on top. This was a 7-2 game at one point. It's now 13-7 New York. Swing and a miss. 1 ball, 1 strike. Oh man, out toward right center. Odubel on the run. He'll get there and he makes the catch. The side is finally retired, but 4 more runs score for the Mets. The Mets have scored 11 runs in the last 3 innings. They're up by 6 as we go to the middle of the 6th. we do. Call 1-800-JEFF now or visit jefferson.edu. Buy the Pennsylvania Lottery. Benefits older Pennsylvanians every day. And buy Nissan. Choose Nissan today for great offers on our most exciting lineup ever. Shop Nissan.com. Along with Matt Stairs and Greg Murphy, I'm Tom McCarthy. We have seen a power display today. 13-7. The Mets lead the Phils. The Phillies led it 7-2. There have been 10 combined home runs in the game. This guy's been a storyline, though, Gil Martin, because he hasn't allowed anything in relief of DeGrom. DeGrom allowed 6 earned runs, 7 overall, and 2 2/3. 1-0 pitch to Galvis, and it's 1-1.
Gil Martin has done a nice job. I mean, this could have been a game where it was just an absolute bullpen battle.
Both bullpens could be depleted. Yeah,
they could. I mean, he's been in 2 innings in the third. He's only allowed 2 hits.
Yeah. Now we mentioned that there was a chance he was going to start Wednesday if Bartolo Colon couldn't go. It's either him or Torres. But what he's doing here tonight means that it could be Torres if Colon doesn't start, but they don't have to worry about burning Torres tonight as well. Opposite way, and a base hit for Galvis. So he's aboard. Odubel Herrera's coming up. Let's check in with Greg Murphy. Murph.
All right, thanks, Tom. Well, as promised earlier in the game, we have selected the Data Strong fan photo of the game, and today's photo comes from Phillies fan. They said, so glad our son Chase got to meet our favorite player at photo day. Now, I don't know if baby Chase was all that excited about it, but it looks like the big Chase was happy. Tweet your strongest fan photo to #PhillyPhotoDataStrongFan, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast. It's all brought to you by T-Mobile. Guys?
All right, Murph, we appreciate that. Odubel Herrera is coming up. Odubel is 1 for 3, and he pops this one foul out of play. Well, Chase Utley, who is now at the Los Angeles Dodgers, had this in the Philadelphia Daily News today. I mean, it is so cool. Not only the fact that he's holding the World Series trophy, but just everything that he wrote here. I mean, thanking David Montgomery for having the gift to make everyone around you feel important. I'm proud to have been part of your franchise. I mean, everything that he wrote. If you haven't seen it, you can obviously get it online. Or you can go out and purchase the paper and then keep it, because we see thank yous all the time. You see the thank yous like Cole Hamels did with his wife Heidi, which was beautifully done, taking the ad out. But this was something that he obviously thought long and hard about. He's a man of very few words. The fact that he was able to pen something like that, I mean, that says an awful lot. Outside, 1 ball and 2 strikes. I love the photo they chose. There's another photo which we've utilized before in video form of he and Jason Worth walking back in from the billboard honoring HK after the World Championship. I mean, it's as Odubel's hit by that pitch. That'll put runners on first and second. Anyway, that photo looks like it's something out of the Wild Wild West, even though they had Phillies garb on. So here's Ryan Howard as the Phils try to climb back from a 6-run deficit. There's no reason to think that they can't. They put 7 up in the first 3 innings. Breaking ball, and it's on the inside corner. O'Flaherty is the lefty, and looks like Torres is going to get up. No, maybe not. Robles. He may never see another fastball tonight, Matt.
No, and Ryan changes his approach versus left-handers compared to right-handed hitting the pitchers. It's all about him getting his foot down early versus left-handers. But once he gets that front foot down so early, it's almost like he gets a little too tight. Watch his right foot get down real early. Where right-handers, he kind of has his foot already there, and it's a rotation of his hips. So one, he must feel like he's getting his foot down too late versus left-handers, which is not a bad thing, getting that foot down early, but you got to make sure that your back leg goes with it when you bend.
Ground ball foul. Get a fastball. It's the second one, but both have been out of the strike zone. It's 2-2. Galvis off second, Herrera off first. And a liner caught by Flores. 1 out.
Timed his jump very nicely. Good base running by Galvis and Herrera. And good ups with Murphy at first base as well.
What was he doing?
You get caught up in the moment.
I guess he was. He didn't jump as high as Flores did, though. Blanco is 1 for 3 in this game with a run scored. Struck out looking his first time up, reached on an error and scored. Singled his last time up. Big rip. Everybody jumped. Outside, 1 ball, 1 strike. By the way, that ad that Chase Utley sent out ran in the Inquirer as well. So if you haven't seen it, I don't know, as a fan, that's something I might want to keep. Go out and get a copy of it. Or a copy of the Daily News or the Philadelphia Inquirer. Check swing. Did Blanco go? No. It's 2-1. We're so inclined to get everything online these days. When I was coming to the ballpark today, I actually saw somebody reading it in the Daily News. Two balls, 1 strike. Two outs. 4 strikeouts for Gil Martin in 3 1/3. Darno is out to the mound to talk to Gil Martin. Jeff Francoeur is going to pinch hit for Cody Ashe. So Ashe's night is done after going 1 for 3. The Mets will make a change here. I think they'll let Gil Martin just finish this, right? Finish this inning.
Yeah, I would think so.
There's Jacob deGrom. He lasted just 2 2/3. He allowed 6 earned runs. He cannot win or lose this game because his offense has erupted for 7 home runs.
See if they start Jeff Francoeur for the changeup, knowing he's very aggressive off the bench.
Now, he played for the Mets. They probably know a little bit about him in that clubhouse. They did start him off with a changeup. He pulls that one to third, and it's booted by David Wright, and everybody is safe. The bases are loaded. Oh, they said he's getting a little interesting. And Dominic Brown will hit against the lefty Gil Martin with the Phillies down by 6. Second error of the night for for David Wright. Brown is homered tonight, a 3-run shot. He's also singled. The single came against Gil Martin in the 5th. Just keep the chain moving. Popped him up. David Wright in foul territory. And the inning is over. No runs, 1 hit, 1 error, 3 men left. We played 6 innings here at Citizens Bank Park. We'll go to the 7th. The Mets leading at 13-7. For your Delaware Valley Honda dealers game summary as we go to the top of the 7th inning. Yep, 7 home runs tonight, ties a franchise record. Phillies have 3 home runs, so 10 combined is a new record here at Citizens Bank Park. Both starters out before the 4th. 2 2/3 for deGrom, shortest of his career. 3 2/3 for Morgan. And now as we start the top of the 7th inning, Ruben Tejada will lead it off against Justin DeFreitas. Jeff Francoeur came on to pinch hit for Cody Ashley, so he'll stay in the game and play left field. Tejada is 0 for 3. Two balls, no strikes. Outside, 3-0. Center field, Odubel Herrera records the first out, and that'll bring Michael Conforto, the rookie who they brought up from Double-A, to the plate as a pinch hitter. Well, there's so many bright spots if you're the Mets for tonight, but I think Gil Martin, you're Terry Collins. He saved the day.
Absolutely.
I mean, this game is long from being over, but 3 1/3 scoreless. I mean, the game was begging for somebody to slow down somebody's offense, and he did it. I mean, there were some base runners, but he was able to get out of it. Conforto, 258 with 3 home runs, 11 runs batted in. Lays off the first pitch inside, 1 ball, no strikes. Rips that one fair past Ryan Howard and into the corner. Conforto is going to stop at second. A 1-out double. These lucky fans are tonight's Citizen 7. They were to receive a prize pack courtesy of Citizens Bank. Good banking is simple, clear, and personal, and that's helping you bank better. Citizens Bank. Lagares fouls that one off his head, and it's 0-1. Lagares has a home run tonight back in the third. That is a fair ball down the right field line, off the half wall. Run will score. Lagares puts the brakes on. That ball was hit scary hard. I mean, there was no chance for Howard even to react on that. It's an RBI single. And it's now 14-7 New York.
Well, like I said earlier, when things are going right, you can hit missiles line to line.
The Mets are the first major league club to have 5 or more doubles and 7 or more home runs in a game since 2006, when the Dodgers did it against the Padres. That was September 2006. The 12 extra base hits allowed by the Phillies tonight are the most in Citizens Bank Park history. Actually, it's now 13 extra base hits, counting the double in this inning. We'll put those numbers to rest for a moment, but you think about it. They have 16 hits, and 13 of them are extra base hits. 1 ball, 1 strike to Murphy. Fly ball, shallow left. Blanco. Foul territory, makes the catch. That's a fair ball. 2 outs. And here comes Cespedes. Well, they've held him in check tonight. He's 0 for 3. He was hit by a pitch back in the 5th inning. And a line drive base hit into center field. Lagares to second base. I'm not sure what you do. I mean, they're not hitting anything soft. There's nothing at all soft. I'm not saying you have to hit some things soft, but there's nothing. No. Everything's squared up. David Wright has scored 3 runs tonight. He's 2 for 3. He got a strike on the outside corner there. It's 0-1.
Not very often do you see a team hit mistake pitch and square them up every time. You might get a pitch down the middle and roll over once in a while. But the New York Mets tonight, 13 extra base hits out of 17 knocks.
Yeah, and I think after the first 3 innings, we were saying that about the Phillies, because the Phillies weren't missing a whole lot either against DeGrom.
Correct.
DeGrom, I mean, obviously he struggled tonight. That's an afterthought at this point. You just chalk that up to one bad start. It's 1-2 to David Wright. Got him. A run does score. The RBI single by Lagares. It's time to stretch here at Citizens Bank Park. The Phillies trail it 14-7. As we move to the home seventh inning. And the bottom of the order is due up. Headed into extra innings and need a boost. Call WB Mason and order Green Mountain Coffee K-Cup pods. Great tasting coffee at amazingly low prices delivered free the very same day when you order by 11:30 a.m. WB Mason knocks it out of the park. Who but WB? Hansel Robles is the new pitcher. And Rupp takes strike one. It's 0-1. Two. Darnell Sweeney's out of the on-deck circle to pitch in. Adam Lowen is warming up in the pen. Cameron Rupp is struck out at the plate. One away here in the seventh. Cameron not too pleased by a couple of those pitches called by Tom Hallion. And here is Sweeney to pitch in, making his Citizens Bank Park debut. Darnell is 1 for 4 so far. Walked a few times in yesterday's ball game, making his first major league start. Swing and a miss, and it's 0-1. So DeFreitas' line, 2 innings, 7 hits, 5 runs, 1 walk and 1 strikeout. The look that we've seen a few times tonight from Justin, from Hector, from Adam. Phillies starters have allowed 14 runs on 17 hits in this ball game. One and one, the count to the switch hitting Darnell Sweeney. We felt pretty good roaming the outfield yesterday at Marlins Park. And honestly, we had a handful of balls hit to him, but looked really comfortable. His reads were very good off the bat.
Very good.
Fouls it away. It's 2-2. Now this from a kid who's making the transition to center field. He may wind up staying in the ball game here. 2 balls, 2 strikes. He wound up walking 3 times in the ball game yesterday against the Marlins. Fly ball left field. Cespedes goes back on it. And there are 2 outs here in the 7th. Phillies Fantasy Camp is the sports experience where anything becomes possible. It's from January 20th to the 24th of next year. Join a Legends lineup that now includes Mike Schmidt, Matt Stairs for coaching, camaraderie, and baseball like you've never played it before. You can also take part in a 1-hour hitting clinic with Mike. Great memories that last a lifetime. Book now at PhilliesFantasyCamp.com. Cesar takes low and in, 1-0. Cesar's walked twice tonight. He's 0 for 2. Are you going to manage one of the teams, or are you just going to coach?
I don't know. I know now that the offseason will consist of having a diet so we can get back in uniform.
Well, you can get into a uniform, Matt. It just depends on what kind of uniform you want to get in.
If I can button it or not.
You don't have to get into the uniform that you wore when you played here. They have others.
No, I'm looking forward to it. It should be a good time.
Stripes are very slimming. Horizontal stripes. 2-1 pitch to Hernandez. Fly ball left center field. Lagares and Cespedes. It's Cespedes. And the Phillies go down 1-2-3 in their half of the 7th inning. 7 in the books here at Citizens Bank Park. We'll move to the 8th with the Mets leading at 14-7. Go further. By Xfinity, the official entertainment provider of the Philadelphia Phillies. And by Budweiser, still brewed the hard way. This Bud's for you. Top of the 8th inning. It's 14-7. Mets on top. Adam Lowen is warming up out on the mound to take over for the Phils. Time now, Matt, for our Hyundai defensive play of the game.
Let's go back in the 6th inning. Ryan Howard, line drive. Flores timing his jump very nicely with the help of Murphy at first base. Everybody's jumping for joy. That is your Hyundai defensive play of the game, brought to you by your local Hyundai dealers.
Well, here's Lowen, who is no wins, no losses, a 6.43 earned run average. So how do you slow things down? Slow an offense down? You bring in a Canadian pitcher. Right, Matt?
Hope so.
Flores tonight is 3 for 4. 2 home runs and a double. 1 ball, 1 strike. Star, look out. 1-2. That went into the dugout. It went right down the stairway. Juan Uribe had to move a little bit too quick. That one's out toward right center field. Odubel coming on, makes the catch as he goes to the grounds. What a way for Travis d'Arnaud. Covers a lot of ground.
He does. He's getting a lot of better jumps too. See center field. No hesitation. Realizes he has an opportunity. Makes a very nice play. That's the difference where I've seen from day one to now. It's the way he goes back on balls, but also the way he reads line drives that he has to come in after.
Well, now d'Arnaud, who has 2 extra base hits today. 2-run double, a long home run. And another base hit to right center field. Herrera is going to try to cut it off, and he does. d'Arnaud now 3 for 5 in this game. Michael Kadyr's coming up to the plate. Let's go to Murph with the Major League Notebook. Murph, make sure you're facing the home plate area.
Yes, I am going to watch out for flying balls for sure. All right, brought to you by St. Joseph's University. And Ron Washington is back in a Major League dugout full-time. The Oakland A's announced tonight that they have hired him as their new third base coach. They've relieved Mike Gallego of his duties. Washington back in an A's uniform for the first time since 2006 when he left the A's to manage the Texas Rangers. So he is back. And the Yankees announced tonight that they have placed CC Sabathia on the 15-day disabled list. He has problems with his knees all season long, but bad inflammation in his right knee, so they're going to shut him down. They said it could very well end his season. It has been a tough season indeed for CC Sabathia. Just 4-9 with an ERA well over 5 for the Yankees this year. So we may have seen the last of CC Sabathia this year, guys.
Yeah, it may have been maybe the last of CC Sabathia in general.
That is true. Yes.
That knee has been a bothersome part of his body for the last several years. And how about all the third base coaches that have been relieved of duties this year? I mean, think about it.
Bundy from the Dodgers.
Lorenzo Bundy, Ron Renicky took over for him. Down in Miami, Brett Butler was relieved of his duties. He's in the dugout still for Lenny Harris, who's now the third base coach. Ron Washington takes over in Oakland for Mike Gallego.
Yeah, Tom, they were saying that Gallego is one of the more aggressive third base coaches in the league this year, and with not a whole lot of extra success with that aggressiveness. In addition, Washington's also going to work with their infield. He's going to be their infield coach as well, which is something that Gallego also did. So they wanted to make a change for both defensive reasons and for third base coaching reasons, so they're able to do both with Ron Washington filling that role.
Yeah, that was rumored about a month or so ago that he would join their staff in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, he's been an advisor for the A's over the past couple of weeks, but he was not in uniform because they had their complete number of coaches. You can't put too many guys in the dugout, but he has been with them for a couple of weeks now, and yeah, you could see the writing on the wall. Gallego was even talking about that. He said he knew his days were numbered when Washington came in.
So is Gallego staying with the organization, or
no?
He's gone.
He is gone.
Well, one thing you're going to see from Ron Washington, he was my third base coach back in the days of the A's. He brings a lot of energy, and he throws great batting practice.
Well, apparently he's a great infield coach too. Tejada takes low and in, 1 ball, no strikes. Tejada is 0 for 4 on a night in which the Mets banged out 18 hits. Drive back off the glove of Lowen. He reacts and throws out Tejada. 1-3 on the putout. Runners move up to second and third, and hope Lowen's okay. I do think it hit his glove. It might have hit his backside. Did not hit his glove. It hit his backside.
Right on the left cheek.
Yeah. Scott Sheridan and Pete Buchanan coming out. He said almost immediately that he was okay. Fans are reacting to it right now. They just replayed it on Fanavision.
That might have got him on the belt.
The belt.
Yeah.
There was a sort of a sound like that. Well, here's Uribe, who has been with the Dodgers, the Braves, and now the Mets this year, hitting 177. 2 hits and 14 at bats as a pinch hitter. Fly ball left center field. That's going to stay in the yard. Odubel's under it. Side is retired here in the 8th inning. No runs. 1 hit, 2 men left. Middle of the 8th inning. Phillies trail the Mets 14-7. Padres. It'll be the ShopRite Back to School lunch bag, free to fans 14 and under. Tickets can be purchased for that upcoming series between the Phils and the Padres by going to Phillies.com. Phillies had a 7-2 lead at one point in this ball game. It's now 14-7. 12 unanswered runs by the Mets. Eric O'Flaherty is into his 7th ball game. Mets got O'Flaherty from the Oakland Athletics, just as they got Tyler Clippard from the A's. And he is on to face Galvis, Herrera, and Howard. A couple lefties in the mix. Galvis has 3 hits in tonight's ball game. Phillies 7 runs on 11 hits, but it's not enough. At least not at this point. They trail at 14-7. These 10 home runs were hit with ease, it seemed. You know, the 10 combined. And it's, you know, you look at the record, the Major League record, 11. 11 is the Major League record for a 9-inning game. 11's also been done in some extra inning games as well. And it's remarkable that it's been so long since, as Galvis lines one to Cespedes, one away. So Odubel Herrera's coming up. 2 legends in Seaver and Schmidt. They faced each other a lot. Matt Harvey was skipped this past weekend by the Mets, and all he said about that is that everybody needs a day off every once in a while. But you would think, Matt, over the last 10-15 years, maybe even 15 years ago, more so than the last 5 years, that mark of 11 in the National League, the Major League record's 12. Right. It was done in the American League, but that record of 11 combined home runs would have been blown out of the water with all the home runs that were hit.
You would think. I mean, especially the size of the ballparks nowadays.
Yeah. It's as if we were in Williamsport, and the Pennsylvania team
was playing Team Canada.
Just showed up and started hitting bombs. 2 balls and 1 strike. Central Pennsylvania team. I mean, they are on one heck of a home run tear. They were. But while the Mets have hit some home runs to take the lead,
that's the difference.
The bullpen has not allowed any runs in relief of DeGrom. 2-2 to Odubel. Terry Collins' team, if they win tonight, will gain a half game on the Washington Nationals, who are idle tonight. Odubel strikes out for the 2nd time this evening, and there are 2 outs here in the 8th inning. Well, these are some of the things that we've been talking about. 13 extra base hits for the Mets ties their franchise record. 13 extra base hits allowed by the Phils, the most in Citizens Bank Park history. And the Mets are the first Major League club to have 5 or more doubles and 7 or more home runs in a game since The 06 Dodgers, as we mentioned before. They did it against the Padres. That one is hooked toward right. Caught on the dive by Flores. No, he dropped it.
Oh, Ryan.
And Ryan Howard was running back to the dugout, and he's thrown out at first. There was no signal. It was late, but Ryan peeled off when he thought Flores caught it. 4-3 on the putout. It hasn't turned out to be the greatest of nights for the Phils. We'll go to the ninth. What you have to break down is the way this offense for the Mets erupted. Top of the ninth inning, it's 14-7. Now, an odd play just finished up this inning. Now, watch Ryan Howard. He hits this ball on a hook. It's a heck of a try by Flores. No call by Bruce Dreckman, the second base umpire, until right there. That's when he realized that Flores had dropped the ball. Ryan Howard had peeled off. Now, Ryan was upset that the call was not made sooner, which is understandable. But for Dreckman could not make the call any sooner because he didn't see Flores drop it until he rolled. I mean, Ryan was watching like we were from a distance and thought it was caught. He should have kept on running up the first base line until a signal is made by the umpire. We run into that as broadcasters. Sometimes we anticipate something, and in reality, the tool is, and we say this to young broadcasters all the time, is to watch the umpires. Don't anticipate. Yeah, I do it. Yeah. There was a game last week at home where I did it way too many times, where you anticipate. As a base runner, you can't anticipate. You have to keep going until there's an actual call made. I think Dreckman did the best he could on that, honestly, Matt. I really do.
No, I do too. And you made a good point. I think what you do is you don't assume a play is made. Run to the bag. If he calls you out, no harm, no foul. Yeah. But if you peel off and he drops the ball, I mean, the umpire did the right thing. He didn't say yes. He didn't say no. It was a.
I think I would have been more frustrated. And Lagares did go around on that, so he's down on strikes. If Bruce Dreckman had said out, Howard had peeled off, and then said safe.
Right.
That would have been very frustrating as a base runner.
Then as a base runner, you have an excuse.
Correct.
He punched me out. They said no. But the bottom line is, yeah, you run through the base. Yeah, until they give you the sign of a caught or no caught. Catch.
Here's Daniel Murphy. Murphy takes inside 1-0. To center field. It's going to slide back toward Odubel, and he missed it. It's going to go right to the wall. Murphy will stop at second base. Now they scored that a double. That's the 14th extra base hit for the New York Mets. Second double of the night for Murphy. He's on the doorstep of 30 for the year. And here comes Cespedes. Every time the Phillies pitchers retire, the opposition 1-2-3. And it happened tonight, back in the first. Comcast will make a contribution to Phillies charities. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Xfinity, the official entertainment provider of the Philadelphia Phillies. Fourteen extra base hits. It's a new franchise record for the New York Mets. 14 extras, 19 hits overall. Oh, and 1 to Cespedes with one man down. 0-2. Toyota Major League Scoreboard, the Braves defeated the Rockies 5-3. Johnny Gomes, a lot of people think he may be moved in the next couple weeks. Or the next week, I should say, before the 1st of September. He had a home run, 3 RBIs. They're a little crowded out in the outfield.
Well, why wouldn't they move? Is he in the plans of your future?
No.
No. He's an older player. He's great, a great teammate.
Yeah, they do like him in the clubhouse.
But more valuable to a team that needs a righty.
Uh-oh. That is a blast off the Geico sign. A 2-run home run that ties the National League record for home runs combined in a game. It's the 11th of the night, and it's the 8th by the Mets. It's 16-7 New York.
It's a slider, what they call a cement mixer. Doesn't break a whole lot.
Might have broken the Geico sign. David Wright is the batter. The National League record, the National League all-time record for combined home runs in a game is 11. The Mets and the Phils have tied it tonight. The Mets a new single season or single game record for home runs. It's number 8 tonight. Come to the ballpark and you'll see something that you've never seen before. Dominic Brown, short of the warning track, will make the catch. "16 runs on 20 hits." You have to be in awe to a certain extent what they were able to do tonight.
So I wonder how Tejada feels. He's the only guy that doesn't have a home run.
0 for 5 tonight. That is remarkable that he's the only position player.
He's the ugly duckling.
He's the only position player to not have a home run.
Who started?
May 17th, 1979 was the last time there were 11 combined home runs in a National League game. Howard on the run, foul territory. 2-2.
Yeah, and Tejada's not the only one. He's the only position player without a without a hit.
Yeah,
he's 0 for 5. There's always that one guy who's the team player.
Well, let's hope he doesn't get up again. I guess the Phillies tie it. $14 unanswered runs. 7-2 Phillies at one point in this game. That's foul. Just so everybody knows. Darno is on deck. That got a piece of Rupp. Man's going to sleep well tonight. Ground ball to shortstop. Galvis is up with it. The inning is over. 2-run home run by Cespedes. The 11th combined home run of the ball game. Last chance for the Phils, down by 9. A lot of records flying around and flying out of the ballpark here tonight at Citizens Bank Park. 11 combined home runs. That ties the National League record, last done in 1979. The Phillies were part of that as well with the Chicago Cubs. So now as we go to the bottom of the 9th inning, Carlos Torres will pitch in his 50th game with the Mets. And he will face Andres Blanco to start it off. It'll be Blanco and then Jeff Francoeur and Dominic Brown. Robles goes one scoreless inning. One ball, one strike to Blanco. Well, the good thing is there's another game tomorrow.
And this only counts as one loss.
Yeah. 1 of 75, but just one. One and only one.
Jerome Williams is probably sitting downstairs thinking,
I hope they're tired.
Get it all out of your system now.
Yeah. All he can do is kind of laugh. Blanco fouls it off.
E-fan.
Poor guy. He had it. Now he's got a bruise right in his chest. One sweeps down low. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
This is definitely a game where the bullpen, you want to hide. You're hoping your name does not get called on that phone. Just one of those days.
It is amazing, though, how these balls have been flying all over the place.
Yes. I mean, Ryan's home run was a blast to left center.
Yeah.
Cameron's to center field was a blast.
460. Got a piece of Tom Hallion. Other umpires are trotting in to see if he's okay.
Oh, chest.
Right in the shoulder. Scott Sheridan comes out to check on him. There's a pad there, but the pad doesn't always help. Ball 4. Blanco draws a walk. First base runner for the Phillies since the 6th. And here is Jeff Francoeur. Applied the tag, and that finishes off the 6-4-3 double play. Two outs. Now here's Dominic Brown.
Nice play by Murphy. One coming off the bag, and 2 realizing that he has to try to put the tag on Frenchie. Tags him on the shoulder.
Dominic Brown the opposite way. Cespedes roams back, and the ball game is over. A National League record 11 combined home runs tonight between the two teams. It's now been done 5 times in the history of the National League. The Mets and the Phillies do it tonight, and it's the Mets who win it 16-7. They score 14 unanswered runs to take game 1 of this 4-game series. Chevrolet players of the game, the Mets offense, 15 extra base hits, 8 home runs, 7 doubles, and 20 hits overall. W.B. Mason deliveries of the game.
Well, we're going to talk about home runs. See, back in the first inning.
It's going well here.
Ryan Howard hits the ball to deep left field for his 20th of the year. Second inning, David Wright, fastball deep to left field, his second of the year over the Geico sign. Cameron Rupp crushes one to right center.
That was a beauty.
460 feet. Doesn't foul him. Now we go to the third inning. Garris hits a slider down and in for a home run.
Not an awful pitch either.
No, it was a pretty good pitch. That's his number 5 of the year. Dominic Brown gets a slider inside. Hits enough just to get over the fence in right field.
That's the second 3-run home run for the Phillies, and that gave them a 7-2 lead.
Amazing. Now the offense. Flores crushes the fastball out over the plate for his 13th home run of the year. No, this is a good one. Left center, 463 feet.
Longest of the night.
And the loudest. Now we're in the 5th inning already. Flores again, fastball inside from Neris. Crushes that one. His 14th of the year.
That gave them the lead.
Gadire, first pitch swing and line drive to left field. His 10th. His 9th of the year. And then Cespedes, last inning, hits an absolute rocket off the Geico sign, giving him number 24. And those are our W.B. Mason delivery of the game.
David Wright, his return tonight, successful. Same can be said for the New York Mets, who win at 16-7 over the Phillies.